If you are 60 years old or older, and the more you walk, the less the scale moves, you are not losing willpower. You are losing fire. And in the next 15 minutes, I am going to show you why walking less will help you lose more after 60 and what to do instead, starting tomorrow morning. My name is Zhang Wei. For over 50 years, I have practiced traditional Chinese medicine, beginning at 15 in my family's herbal shop in Hangzhou. My mother taught me there. Her mother taught her. Today, I work mostly with women over 60, and almost every one of them arrives carrying the same quiet defeat. They walked. They tried. The body refused. I am going to tell you why. I am going to give you the practice my grandmother followed for 50 years until she died at 93. And near the end, I am going to share the one piece I searched almost a decade to find, the missing thing that finally explained why some women followed every old practice perfectly and still could not lift the last stubborn weight. That part matters. Stay with me until then, because without it, the rest is only half the story. Here is the principle, and I want you to hear it clearly. After 60, the body does not lose weight by burning more. It loses weight by digesting better. The Western mind says calories in, calories out. Walk farther, burn harder, lose faster. That works for a young body, where the digestive fire is high and the muscles are full. But the body of a woman past 60 is a different country. The fire has cooled. The spleen, what the classical texts called the gentle mother of the body, no longer turns every meal into clean energy. She turns part of it into what the old texts called dampness, and what the modern world calls stubborn weight that will not move. The old monks understood this. The mountain does not run, my grandmother used to say, and it is the heaviest thing standing. So when you walk a long, brisk walk in this body, what actually happens? You do not stoke the fire. You drain it. The cortisol rises. The adrenals push. The knees ache. You come home, sit down, and the spleen is too tired to digest dinner. So dinner becomes more dampness. More cold, more weight. You walked 5 miles and gained nothing but tiredness. And then you wake up the next morning, look at the scale, and tell yourself you must have walked too little. So tomorrow you walk farther. The body sinks deeper. But that is only the first piece. There are 3 forces working against the older body that almost no one names out loud. Each one is worse than the last, and the third one is the reason most women never lose the weight no matter what they try. The first force is cortisol that does not go home. When you push the body past its capacity, the adrenals release the stress hormone. After 60, cortisol does not return to baseline as quickly as it did at 40. It lingers. It pools. And when cortisol lingers, the body holds belly fat as if the world were ending. The body has been told there is danger. It does not know the danger is your morning walking group. It only knows it must protect the center, and so it stores everything around the waist. Many women I work with walk an hour every morning and cannot understand why their waist keeps growing. The walk itself is the cause. The second force is mealtime weakness. When the spleen is drained from a long walk, she cannot break down protein and warm foods properly. Eleanor came to me from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, 68 years old, a retired school teacher. She had been walking 5 miles a day for 2 years. Her doctor was proud of her. Her scale was not. Her tongue was pale. Her hands were cold even in summer. She told me she felt heavier after every walk, not lighter. We cut her walking to 20 minutes, twice a day, slow. We added warm broth in the morning. By week 6, her waist had pulled in nearly 2 inches. But it stalled there. 2 inches and then nothing. For 3 weeks she did everything right and the scale would not move another pound. I will tell you what we added next, but first I have to tell you about the third force, because that is what was actually happening underneath. Without understanding it, nothing I tell you afterward will make sense. The third force is the cold belly that has lost its soldiers. After 65, the friendly bacteria that lived in your gut at 30 are largely gone. The published research is consistent on this point. By the time most women reach their mid-60s, the diversity of the gut microbiome has dropped by roughly half. Half of the colonies that helped you digest at 30 are simply no longer there. They are gone. They are not coming back on their own. And without those colonies, the food you eat ferments instead of feeds. The belly turns cold. A cold belly cannot burn food. It stores it. This is why so many women who walk long distances reach for sweets afterward. The body is not asking for sugar. It is asking for warmth. This is the part most folks never hear, so let me say it plainly. You can walk perfectly. You can eat perfectly. You can sleep perfectly. But if the soil in your belly is half what it used to be, the seeds will not grow. My grandmother understood this in her own way. She fed the belly with fermented vegetables, with bone broths, with bitter roots from the garden. 3 things working together. Always 3. And there is a reason for the 3, which I will come back to in a moment, because it is the key to everything. But before I do, let me give you the recovery practice. This is the layered approach that addresses the first 2 forces. The third force, the cold and thinning soil, requires something more, and I will get to that. Walk twice a day. Walk short. Walk slow. 20 minutes after breakfast. 20 minutes after dinner. Slow enough that you could speak a full sentence without losing your breath. If you cannot speak a full sentence, you are walking for someone else's body, not yours. This was the way of the old monks, and it is the way I teach the women who come to me. Warm your belly before you walk. Half a cup of warm water with a thin slice of fresh ginger, 10 minutes before you step out. The ginger lights the inner fire. It tells the spleen, we are about to ask something of you. Be ready. Without that signal, the spleen is caught off guard, and the walk drains her instead of waking her. Eat the morning porridge. My grandmother made it every day for 50 years. Half a cup of rolled oats, 2 cups of water, a small piece of dried orange peel, a few slices of fresh ginger, a handful of dates. Cook it slowly for 25 minutes. Eat it warm. This is the fire-feeding food the classical text called for. It feeds the spleen without burdening her. It costs almost nothing. It takes half an hour, and it does more for the older body than any expensive breakfast you can buy at the store. Now let me return to Eleanor, because this is where her story turns, and this is where I have to tell you what I searched 50 years to find. For most of my career, I assumed the old foods alone could rebuild the soil. The fermented vegetables, the broths, the bitter roots. And for women in their 30s and 40s, they did. But by the time my own students reached their 60s, I was watching them stall. 2 inches in, 3 pounds gone, and then a wall they could not push through, no matter how patient I was, no matter how clean their food was, no matter how slowly they walked. I watched it for a decade. I read the research as it came out. I traveled to Korea, to Japan, to the labs in Boston. I asked the same question everywhere. Why does the old wisdom stop being enough at 65? The answer was hiding in something the modern researchers call postbiotics. Most people have heard of probiotics, the friendly bacteria, the seed. Some have heard of prebiotics, the fiber that feeds them, the soil. But the third piece, the postbiotic, is the actual healing compound the bacteria produce when they are fed and alive. The fruit. The seed, the soil, and the fruit. All three, and after 65, the body's own production of postbiotics drops along with the bacteria themselves. You can take a probiotic capsule and still get nothing because the soldiers have no food, and even if they have food, they are too few in number to produce enough fruit to matter. This is why most probiotic capsules disappoint older women. They are sending soldiers into a field with no rations and expecting them to harvest. I tested everything I could find. Most of it was capsules, which the older mouth does not love. I do not know if you have noticed this in yourself or in your friends, but somewhere past 65, the throat changes. Pills sit, pills catch. The morning routine of swallowing 5 capsules with a glass of water becomes a small dread. After almost 10 years of looking, I landed on a kombucha gummy called BoochBod. It is the only one I have found that carries all 3 together in a form a 68-year-old throat does not have to fight in the morning. The probiotic is a strain called lactospore that the laboratories have studied closely. The prebiotic fiber is built in, and the postbiotic, the actual fruit, is included as well. It also carries dandelion root, the same bitter root my grandmother grew at the edge of her garden in Hangzhou. Over 30,000 folks are using it now. 2 gummies in the morning. The taste is not unpleasant. There is no glass of water to fight. When I added BoochBod to Eleanor's protocol at week 8, the wall came down. The next 4 weeks she lost another 5 pounds, and her waist pulled in 2 more inches. She wrote me a letter. Zhang Wei, she said, I knew the foods were doing something. I could feel them. But I could feel that something was missing. And when you added the gummy, my mornings finally felt like mine again. I will tell you about Dorothy in a moment. But I want to say this first, because it matters. The company offers a 60-day guarantee. If your body does not respond, you send the bottle back, even if it is empty, and they refund the purchase. That is not how supplements usually work, and it is the reason I was willing to recommend it to my own students. The risk is on them, not on you. The link is in the description below this video. As always, speak with your doctor before starting any supplement, especially if you take medication for blood sugar or blood pressure. If this channel has been useful to you so far, this is the moment I would ask you to subscribe. Not before, after, because if what I just shared changed how you understand your body, you deserve to hear the rest of what I have to teach. I post once a week. Now Dorothy, she came to me 3 years ago from Savannah, Georgia. 71 years old, a retired nurse, 60 pounds heavier than she wanted to be. She had tried walking groups, calorie counting, 2 different gym memberships. Her cortisol was high all day, every day, because her body interpreted exercise as a threat. We stopped all of it. We started the way of small fire. 20 minutes of slow walking after each meal. The morning porridge. Ginger water before each walk. By month 3, she had lost 12 pounds. But she was getting tired again. The weight was coming off, but slowly, and her digestion was still uncertain. We added BoochBod in month 4. By month 9, she had lost 34 pounds total. She wrote me Zhang Wei, the food and the walking were the road. The gummy was the engine. I sleep through the night now. I can kneel in my garden again. There is one more I want to share with you, because she is closer to where many of you are sitting right now. Margaret, 76, from a small town in Maine. She did not have 60 pounds to lose. She had 18, but those 18 pounds had not moved in 6 years no matter what she did. She told me on our first call, Zhang Wei, I am not asking for a miracle. I just want to button my coat the way I used to. We started the practices in October. By December, the coat buttoned. By February, she had lost the full 18 and 3 more on top of it. She did not change her walking. She did not change her eating. She added the morning porridge, the ginger water, and the gummy. That was it. She told me she had spent 6 years convinced her body had simply chosen its weight. It had not. It had been waiting for the soil. This is the master practice. The old masters called it the way of small fire. Small efforts, warm, repeated, patient. The body after 60 does not respond to large efforts. It responds to gentle, daily, warm movement, fed by a belly that has been given back its soldiers. A small flame kept burning for a year cooks more than a roaring fire kept burning for an afternoon. There is a part of the nervous system the classical texts called the resting fire. The modern researchers call it the parasympathetic state. It is the state in which the body digests, repairs, and burns stored fat. When you push hard, you leave this state. When you walk slowly, breathe deeply, eat warm, and tend the soil, you live inside it. Most women over 60 live in the wrong state all day. They wake up tired, they push through the morning, they collapse in the afternoon, and they wonder why their body will not let go of weight. The body will not let go of weight when it believes the world is dangerous. The way of small fire tells the body the world is safe, and only then does the weight come off. 3 mistakes I see most often, and I want to name them before I let you go. The first mistake is walking too fast. Folks think faster means more progress. After 60, faster means more cortisol, which means more belly fat. Slow until you can speak full sentences without breath catching. That is the pace. The second mistake is skipping breakfast to lose weight. After 60, the morning meal lights the fire for the entire day. Skipping it leaves the spleen cold, and a cold spleen stores everything that comes later. Eat the warm porridge, even a small bowl. Never an empty stomach in the first hour of the day. The third mistake is drinking ice water with meals. The old texts called this pouring snow on a small fire. The digestive fire cannot work in cold. Always drink warm or room temperature water with food. This single change does more than most folks expect. A few quiet pieces of wisdom before I close. The walk after dinner matters more than the walk in the morning. The evening walk helps the spleen process the day's food. 20 minutes, slow, no more, no less. My grandmother walked the path beside her garden every evening at dusk. She lived to 93. Sleep is the deepest weight medicine the body has. Between 11 at night and 3 in the morning, the liver does the heavy work of clearing fat from the blood. If you are awake during these hours, the work is not done. Most women I work with see real change only after their sleep returns. Protect that window first before anything else. My friend, I want you to hear something before we close. This is about the mornings ahead of you, the walks beside the garden when the light comes in low, the grandchild who will reach for your hand on the way to the swing set, and the warmth in your fingers that meets hers. This is about kneeling in the dirt with your tomato plants in May and standing back up without help. This is about the chair beside your daughter's kitchen table and being able to sit there long enough to hear the whole story. The body at 70 can still find its fire. The body at 75 can still rebuild its soil. The body at 80 can still walk softly into a warm spring evening. But you cannot rebuild what is no longer there to rebuild on its own. The walking, the porridge, the ginger water, those are the road. The gummy is what gives the road somewhere to go. The link to BoochBod is in the description with the 60-day guarantee. If you have walked too long, too hard, for too many years with nothing to show for it, this is what was missing. Walk softly. Tend the small fire. I will see you soon.